Okay, so hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Marcia Ruben. I'm an associate professor here at Golden Gate University, and I'm the program director of the MS in Leadership. And today, we're going to talk about the neuroscience of stress. So as you are entering, thank you for those who have entered what's got you stressed in the chat box. We've been going over that as we've entered. It looks like there work stress, managing children at home, the death of a parent and spouse, in fact, and or spouse. In fact, there was a list of the things that are the most stressful in life. And at the very top of the list is death of a parent, a spouse, or someone close to you. I don't think that this was well before COVID, so I don't know where that would rank in terms of stressors, but I'm sure it's high up. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover some brain basics and then ways to manage stress. So let's start with some basics of the brain. And I was going to start, even going back for a moment, that, and I heard this morning, as the decade known as 2020, and hasn't this year felt like a decade? So certainly I think that there's been more stress than any of us, I think, have experienced in our life. So again, I'll cover some of the brain basics and way to manage stress. So the core organizing principle of the brain is to minimize danger and maximize reward. It's the main job. And our brain is primarily wired for safety. That goes back to the cave men and women days when they were living in a cave, and if they heard a noise, a rustle, and they didn't go inside the cave and hide, they didn't survive. So we are the descendants of people who were able to recognize signs of danger and keep themselves safe. So we're wired for safety, and we have 5 times as many circuits to pick up threats than rewards. And we pick up threats in 1/5 of a second. So we're all constantly scanning threat, reward, threat, reward, threat, reward. And when we're less threatened, that is when we're on the right side of this graphic, we're more productive. Well, when we're threatened, we're less productive, sorry. We're more easily distracted. We're more likely to rely on old habits, and our decision-making becomes more automatic and less flexible. And there are 2 other motivations for our brains. The main one is to keep us safe. 2 other motivations are social connection, which is, I think, one of the reasons why this being in COVID and sheltering in place is so difficult, because we are social beings. And it's also satisfaction and reward. So we get satisfaction from social connection, from doing work that we like, for hobbies, going to movies and entertainment, from eating, going to restaurants, and that's something that's taken away from us as well. So no wonder our threat levels may be a little bit higher. Another principle of the brain is that we're on autopilot most of the time. So our brains have 2 modes of operating: conscious and non-conscious. And we are bombarded with 11 million bits of data every second. And our conscious brain can only handle 40 bits. So, whoops, this is just not cooperating. Okay, sorry. Okay, so thinking about being on autopilot, remember when we used to be able to go outside and drive around in our car all the time, to and fro? Remember back in the olden days? And that was before COVID. Well, so if you recall those wonderful days, when you got in your car and you drove somewhere and you got to your destination, and you don't even remember how you got there. It was so automatic. Or think about, let's say, the first time that you go somewhere let's say if you're taking classes at Golden Gate University and you come into the building, you have to find the building, and then you have to find your room. So you really have to pay attention. But after a while, maybe 2, 3, 4 times, it becomes automatic and you don't even think about it. You can find your room with no problem. Okay, so another core principle of the brain that's really important is neuroplasticity. And this was a huge breakthrough in neuroscience in the late 1940s. And it was the discovery that learning and development doesn't stop in our 20s. People used to think that after you got to be about 25, you couldn't learn anymore. Well, that's kind of depressing. So the finding was that our brain continues to rewire ourselves throughout our lives, and we can change well-worn patterns. And so here's kind of, and being overstressed can become habitual. So here's a really quick explanation. Our brain cells communicate with each other inside our brain. It's happening all the time. It's called neuronal firing. And when they communicate a lot, the connection gets stronger and goes faster and faster. Think of it as a road being laid down. And with enough repetition, it becomes automatic and a habit. And hence there's a catchy phrase that neurons that fire together, wire together, creating a new habit. And another phrase that I heard recently is neurons that don't sync, don't link. So hence the importance of consciously paying attention in order to develop new habits. So now a little bit about your brains, which we all have. So the limbic system, which is here in between our ears, this really is our emotional center. And this is a part of our brain that senses threats and rewards. That's the safety, danger, reward, threat, reward. That's the constant scanning. And there's a little walnut-shaped piece inside our brain that's called the amygdala. And that's where it's really a finely tuned threat detector. And this is where anxiety and fear are centered. It's also where we have the originator of fight, flight, or freeze. So if you can think of the last time that you were really threatened, either by something someone said to you, by something that happened to you, or perhaps something that scared you, your immediate and non-conscious response, I mean, we don't even think about it, is maybe that you want to fight, or you want to run, or perhaps you just froze. So just take a minute to think about the last time that you were really threatened. And that was what was going on. And that was in that little walnut-shaped thing is really the first detector of that, non-conscious. That's why sometimes you can, let's say, be walking down a dark street or even in daylight, and all of a sudden you feel scared. That's something to pay attention because we are wired to pick up threats. Then the second part of the limbic system that's important is the hippocampus. And that's the part of the brain that encodes and stores information so we can recollect it when we need to repeat something. So this is really your learning librarian, where learning is embedded and encoded. And one of the things, because it's connected to the amygdala, is negative emotions are more likely to be encoded. So you're more likely to remember really negative things from the past than the positive things, just because of our amygdala and our hippocampus. Okay, so that's the danger center, the limbic center, our emotional center. The prefrontal cortex, which is right here in the front of your head, is really the most recently evolved part of our brain. It's the part of the brain that's operating when we are conscious. It's responsible for our executive function, which is our ability to think abstractly, to analyze thoughts, to make decisions. This regulates our emotions and behavior so that we don't, when we get that automatic thing that happens to us, let's say somebody says something that makes us angry, if we can stop for a moment and get to our prefrontal cortex, then we won't yell back at them or say something that we regret. It also controls decision-making, understanding, long and short-term memory. It regulates our emotions and behavior. It's the rational and logical part of us. It's where empathy, morality and intuition live, and it helps us modulate our fear. So that's the good news. It also uses up a lot of energy and a lot of glucose and oxygen. So it can make us really tired. If you spend a lot of time thinking, you might end up at the end of the day really tired, even if you didn't do a lot of physical activity. And it shuts down when you're under stress, when your amygdala gets activated. So one last piece that I want to talk about is the neurochemical part of our brain. So our brain has neurons or cells and neurochemicals. And neurochemicals help the cells in our brain communicate with each other. So when we feel our heart is pounding or we're deeply relaxed, that's a result of the neurochemicals. And we're either experiencing good neurochemical showers, like a good mix of these neurochemicals, or a not so good mix. And when we experience a threat, cortisol pours through our body. That's on the left-hand side, and it stays there for several hours. And long-term stress can negatively impact us. So when we're really stressed out, we have trouble concentrating, we might get really tired, we might be irritable. And there are lots of other more serious health issues that can happen if we're chronically under stress. On the other side of the equation, we have the neurochemicals that can help calm us down and help us concentrate. So oxytocin is the neurochemical that's associated with nurturing and bonding. So when we feel a close connection with others. And remember that social connection is one of the motivators of our brain. Dopamine is another neurochemical, and dopamine is when, let's say, if you experience runner's high, or if you get really positive feedback, when you get an A on a paper, you get a dopamine hit. And just knowing if somebody appreciates you or you appreciate yourself, that can give you a dopamine hit. And then the last one I want to talk about is GABA. That's the neurochemical that calms us down, helps us feel relaxed. And so you can imagine this part of your brain, your prefrontal cortex, sending GABA throughout your body to calm you down. All right, so let's talk about some ways to manage stress, to lower cortisol and raise GABA. Obviously, sleep is really important, and being able to have good sleep habits, exercise, mindfulness practices, yoga, which you're going to do afterwards, and then, of course, social connection. It's a little harder, a lot harder with COVID, and that's why, people are, we've been using Zoom, but I think people are coming up with other creative ideas. I know with our nephew back east had us play an online Zoom game that was lots of fun. There's lots of more and more creative ideas, I think, as this goes on. Another thing that helps you with stress is generating optimism. So how you focus your attention influences your brain. So you can choose to consciously raise your optimism. And that is, you can do that by focusing on what you need to do right now. If you just, instead of getting stressed out, say, okay, what do I need to do right now? And that'll lower your anxiety. A second thing is to focus on a goal that's important to you. That shifts your attention, it changes the chemistry in your brain, and it raises GABA and calms you down. So those are two practical things that you can do. The next thing to know about is that your heart and brain are connected. There's an organization called HeartMath that's been around for 25 years. They're in, I think, Boulder Creek, California. And after 25 years of research, they have shown and proved that connecting your heart to your heart helps you align your physical, mental, and emotional system. So let me just give you a tiny taste of this. So if you can just take a deep breath and calm yourself down, and then focus on your heart. And that what you want to do is think about someone or something that you love and just focus on that for a moment. And they even have a biofeedback kind of device that you connect to your hand, and it can measure how well you do this. It turns green when you're really connected to your heart and you feel yourself calming down. So that's a wonderful exercise, and you can go to HeartMath for more information. And I think they're giving away some free stuff now and information. And last and not least is our breath, which is very portable and we can take with us. So I think I'm going to walk us through a quick, we'll do like a 4-minute centering exercise. So what I'd like you to do, it isn't going to help if I have my calculator on. So get comfortable. Make sure that your feet are planted on the floor. You want to have your spine erect and comfortable, not slouching, but just erect. And if you're comfortable, just close your eyes and just begin to focus on your breath. So feel your breath coming in through your nostril, feel the cool air, feel it filling your lungs and filling your belly, and then breathe out. So you just want to breathe in and out, in and out. And as thoughts come in, which they will, just notice them without judgment and then go back to your breath. So it's in and out, in and out. And let yourself ride the waves of your breath. You might want to do a quick scan of your body, and if there's any place where you feel tension, often it's in our neck and our shoulders because we're sitting so much these days. Just breathe into that area and let the tension melt away. And as thoughts come in, or if there's distracting sounds, just notice them without judgment. Go back to your breath. You have your breath with you all the time. So in and out, feeling yourself calming down. Feel the GABA neurochemical flowing through your body. If you get distracted by a thought, just come back to your breath. So begin to just wiggle your toes. and your fingers. And when you're ready, slowly open your eyes. And that was only 4 minutes. You can just even do this for a minute if that's all you have. 5 minutes is fine. There are a number of wonderful apps out there. The one that I use, there's a free version of it, is the Insight Timer. You can set up meditation for, and as long as you want, they have all sorts of music. There is Headspace is another one. Calm is another app. There are lots of mindfulness-based apps out there as well. And there are, I think there are free courses you can take. So I really encourage you to find whatever it is that works for you to center yourself. And with that, I will end. Are there any questions?
Hi, Marcia. This is Shawit. We do have a question from Hamida earlier when you were discussing fight or flight in the freeze sort of reaction.
Yeah.
I believe the question says, does the response ever change from freeze to flight, or does it go in different sort of directions, sort of neural network style, if you will?
I mean, it's such an unconscious reaction. I don't know the scientific answer to that because I'm not a neuroscientist. It's just, I mean, when you have a threat reaction, it really kind of it takes over this part of your brain. And so it's almost like an automatic reaction. I don't know. I imagine as you start breathing, I don't know if there's anyone else that knows the answer to that, but I don't know. I don't think at least immediately that it does.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Ruben. Actually, do you mind sharing your screen again with those applications?
Oh, sure. Sorry.
Not a problem.
Okay, hold on. So they were, the one that I really like is Insight Timer. And then there's Calm and Headspace. And if you just Google free apps, there's a lot out there.
So I'll write them in while you Calm.
Yeah, okay, so Calm, Headspace, and Insight Timer. And the one that I've been using consistently for a really long time is the Insight Timer.
Inside is in internal.
Insight.
Insight. Okay, got it.
Insight Timer. And they have all sorts of things on that app. So does the Calm app, Headspace. The Insight Timer has a free, has a one that's for free, which I used for many years. And then I just was so grateful for all they were giving away that I decided to pay for a year, but you don't have to.
It's a sign of a good product when you want to pay for it.
I know. I was like, oh, I want to pay them. They're doing so much.
Okay.
Does that help?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Marcia.
Okay.
Thank you. That was insightful. We're going to be moving on to Nina, and we're going to be doing some ways to counter what we just learned about stress.
Yes, thank you so much, Sue-Ann. All right, so I think it was a perfect transition from when we ended in the centering exercise and then heading into the yoga portion or the movement portion. Go ahead and shout out in the chat box if there are any other parts of the body that that you find getting yourself feeling uncomfortable in. If it's sticky, it's tight, it hurts, especially as we spend most parts of our day confined in our tight spaces or sitting all day on our desks and our computer. One thing that I noticed was that people who used to be good at exercising at least 30 minutes a day prior to COVID or prior to the shelter in place, all of a sudden lost that boundary between work and then getting some form of exercise in before transitioning into the home life. The work-life balance again seems to have blurred the line in between. And I am a clinical psychologist by profession, but I'm also a yoga teacher. And I find that in my work as a yoga teacher, which I've been doing now online purely via Zoom, a lot of the students who come to class complain about neck pain, shoulder aches and pains, upper back, lower back, hips, wrists, spine. What I'm doing right now is actually not a recommended way to sit. And I know that a lot of us find some contorted ways of working on our desk. So if you find yourself getting the lower back pain, and this is how we'll begin the yoga part of the afternoon. If you notice that you're starting to get pain on your lower back, begin to flatten your feet on the mat, okay? And notice if you have the tendency to tuck your tailbone under. So this is usually how I sit. I find myself sitting. As the day progresses, I slump more and more down on my chair. So if you end up looking this way, if you have a mirror in your room and you accidentally take a glance at it and you look like a prehistoric version of yourself, go ahead and grab the bony parts of your hips and then walk your butt back on your chair. Okay? Exaggerate it for a bit. I know they say sometimes that don't do the duck butt, but if you spend so much of your day curled in, exaggerating it will allow you to find the midpoint. So really walk it back. And if you're seated right now, give it a shot. Make sure that the shoulders are somewhat in line with your hips. And then notice the difference from here to just walking your butt back. Hands on top of your desk. See if your wrists, elbows, and shoulders are in a relaxed position. Sometimes the pain that shoots on your neck and shoulders is really just a matter of repositioning your arms when you work. So allow your arms to lay heavy on your thighs or desk if you're on top of your desk, and take a few deep breaths. When I asked a couple of my colleagues, what do you need work on, especially now that we're all confined in tight spaces? So neck, shoulders, upper back, lower back, hips, wrists. Okay, we spend so much time doing this or on your phone. I spend most parts of my day carrying my baby, so it also hurts my wrist and the spine. But one thing that we forget is our jaw. So I'll walk you through a sequence, and the sequence might not necessarily flow into a yoga practice. What I'm going to try to do for the next 25 to 30 minutes is to compress all of the moves that I find feels great in my body. And hopefully you get to pick it up and apply it in your day as well. So if number one is some of the reminders that are just filtering through my brain right now. If you think that you cannot commit to, say, an hour-long yoga practice, don't worry about it. If you think that you're not flexible enough, that's also a misnomer. You don't have to be flexible to do yoga. If you've got a body, you can do yoga. That's it. These days, and I am a yoga teacher, I still teach my classes regularly online. I find that I don't have the time to practice for myself. And so what I do is I break down my practice throughout the day. Baby's napping, I do 10 minutes. Oh, he wakes up earlier. It just becomes a 5-minute practice. He's playing in his playpen. I go down on my hands and knees and start moving my body. That's how I get the practice done. Now, when we're working long hours on our desk, we tend to lose track of time. And the sooner you lift your head up, you see that it's sunset already. You've just basically spent the entire day on your desk. So aside from the apps that Dr. Marcia recommended, a normal timer on your phone would actually be able to be a good tool to remind yourself to move. If you've got your Apple Watches, it reminds you as well to move around. So every hour, just make sure that you stand up, walk around, or do any of the exercises that I'll be showing you. All right, so let's begin with the jaw. Right. Tightness in the jaw. If you wake up in the morning, you get a headache, neck hurts, chances are you are clenching your jaw as well. With an increase in stress, there's also a positive correlation with how we clench our jaw. And if you don't use your sleep splint, anything like that, you might notice it's starting to hurt. So take a big yawn. And when I yawn, notice how you'll want to yawn as well. And just move your jaw around in circles. Thankfully, you can turn off your camera so we don't see each other's wide open mouth. You have to bear with mine. Move it around. And then just place your hands at the joint. Move it around in circles. And go all the way down towards your chin. And then move it all the way back up. And sometimes you'll find a tender spot. Just spend a few more minutes rolling your fingers around your jaw. And then place your palms on top of your thighs or your knees. No whipping your head around, but instead very deliberately move your neck around in circles. What I like to do is tuck my chin to my throat and then turn it out to the side. Go the opposite way, just so the body stays symmetrical. If you have any compression on the C-spine, what you can do if you're not allowed to bring your neck back or head back is to just keep the movement in front of your chest, swinging your chin side to side. A few more rounds, and then drop your chin to your chest, roll your head up. Again, no whipping your head around. Lift your shoulders to the tips of your ears as you inhale. Exaggerate it. Exhale, roll your shoulders back and down the spine. Reverse the action, lift the shoulders up to your ears. Exhale, roll your shoulders forward. Inhale, lift the shoulders up to your ears and then roll it back. Inhale, shoulders up to your ears. Exhale, roll your shoulders forward. Last one, shoulders up to your ears. And then roll it back. Inhale, shoulders up to your ears. Exhale, roll it forward. Then inhale, sweep both arms all the way up to the sky. Exhale, clasp your hands by your lower back. Reach your knuckles to the ground. Lift your chest up. Bring your clasped hands to the left side of your waist. Drop your left ear to your left shoulder. You will stretch the right side of the neck. Roll the right shoulder back. 3, 2, and 1. Move it forward. 1, 2, 3. One of my favorite moves is to let go of the clasp, but keep your right hand on the outside of your waist. If you can't reach for the outside of your waist, lower back will be fine as well. Take your fingers to the opposite neck. So left hand to the right side of your neck. I begin at the base of my skull. Piano fingers, that's what I call it. Walk it down the length of your neck up until the tops of your shoulders. So sometimes you'll find that there's a knot there, a tight spot. If you do find that, dig your fingers in and then just take it out, like massage it out. Especially these days, body work is not readily available for us. So this is a good way to massage yourself. One more time, walk it down. Sometimes I hit the spot and it feels like there's electricity shooting through my body, and that one feels good. Now, take your fingertips and line it up the side of your neck. So this is the vein. Right behind it, drag your fingers down and do it one more time. and turn your head to the opposite side. Clasp hands, reach right to open your chest, especially if. Sorry about that. I think I got disconnected. Sorry. So knuckles to ground, lift your chest up. Bring your clasp hands this time to the right side of your waist, right ear to your shoulder, and then move your left shoulder back. 3, 2, and 1. Roll it forward. 1, 2, and 3. Let go of the clasp again. Piano fingers down the side of your neck, all the way to the top of your shoulder. Look for the tight spots. If you find it, dig in a little bit deeper and then move your fingers around in a circular motion. Call this your self-care. Then take your fingers, plug it just behind your neck, and then drag it down. Turn your head the opposite way. And do it one more time. Stick your fingers in, hold it down, and then turn your head the opposite direction. Reach your arms forward. Point your fingers down, lift it up. Down and up. If you've got Decker vein pain or just the usual blackberry thumb, these are great exercises to do first thing in the morning when you're waiting for your coffee to brew or your water to boil. Then place your right hand on top of the other. Pull your fingers back to your face. Now, when you do this, make sure that it's intentional. So when you pull your forward and then turn your fingers down to the ground, hold the back of your hand, pull it in, push your wrist forward. You get a good stretch on your wrist here. Hand, fingers pointing up, drag it in. Drive the heel of your palm forward. Sometimes you do get the stretch as well on your forearms. And then point your fingers to the ground. Hold the back of your palms and then pull it in. Push your wrist forward. Release, shake it out. Now, the next work is not just for your wrists, but also for your shoulders, which tend to be weak as well. Extend your arms forward. Turn your fingers out to the side, to the ground. Shake it. 2 more of that. Push it forward, side, down, and shake. 1 last. Forward, side, down, and shake it out. Extend your arms forward. Pull your thumbs into the center of your palms. Pointer finger, middle finger, ring, and then pinky. Roll your wrists around in circles. If you hear cracks and pops, it only means that you need to do this more. And then go the opposite way. You could also clasp your hands and then swim your fingers around. Figure 8, the opposite way is usually the challenging part for me. And then finally, if you feel the burn on your arms, that's great. That's part of the work as well. Plant your palms on top of your shoulders. Lift the elbows so it's in line with your shoulders. My arms are definitely burning right now. So you get to squeeze in an arm workout as well. And then go the opposite way. And then release. Hands on top of your thighs. If you have a desk in front of you, some other stretches that you could do on your desk. So palms on your desk, what you could do is turn your fingers out to the side and just swing left to right. You could also turn your back of palms on your desk, shift your weight, bend the elbows, and then rock forward and back. So gentle ways of working the stretch on your wrist, especially if you're already working with an injury. One of the more challenging angles here is to turn your fingers towards your body, lifting up, bend your knees, and dig your fingertips on your on your desk rather, and release. Come back onto your chair. Now, this is a dual purpose move. If you find that it's a stressful hour of meetings already, everything seems to be tight, what you'll do is stick your elbows on your table, clasp your palms in prayer, then let yourself hang from the edge of your table this way. Bring your clasped hands behind your head. So do your centering work here. You could take 5 deep breaths. The more that you allow the gravity to pull the weight of your body towards the floor, the more that you'll be able to stretch your shoulders and your triceps as well. We'll come back up. One more stretch for the shoulders and your triceps. Place your right hand on the upper middle back. Use the opposite hand to line up your elbow right above your head. Lean your weight over to your arms so you feel the opening of the chest, tricep. Then hold on to your shirt with your left hand. The goal is for you to be able to maybe one day, maybe not, find the clasping of your palms, the grip. Lean your weight back. If it doesn't happen for you, don't worry about it. You don't need it. You can simply hold on to your shirt. We'll swap side, left hand on top. Lean your weight into your arm first. You could opt to just stay here or hold on to your shirt. Keep rolling your chest open. You could continue to walk your hands so that it will meet and release. Now, the next portion is something that I do every single day, regardless of whether I have a full practice or not. And that's the 6 movements of the spine. If you go to a yoga class and you come out feeling like, oh my God, my entire body feels open, I feel light, chances are your instructor, your teacher was able to move you through the 6 movements of your spine. And these are the 2 side bends, the flexion and extension of your spine. I'll show you how to do that later, and the twists. So if there's no time at all in the day to do any of the work, at least get the spine moving. Inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, lower your left hand down and reach for the left. Breathe into the right side of your body. You could plant your hand on your chair, even on top of your thigh, and I will swap side. I like to keep my hand hanging down, imagining that I could reach for the floor somehow as I stretch to the opposite side. Breathe into your side body. And then inhale, arms over your head. Exhale, plant your right hand on top of your left knee. Move your left hand behind you. Lengthen the spine as you inhale. Exhale, twist to the left. Now you could also squeeze your thighs together to get deeper into a twist. There are days when I'm lucky. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Twist deeper to the left as you exhale. When I feel my spine crack and pop, and you just got a free chiropractic adjustment there. Inhale, reach both arms over your head. Exhale, twist to your right. Plant your left hand outside of your right thigh. Use that as an anchor. Lengthen the spine. Inhale. Turn to the right. Exhale. So those are the 4 directions of the spine. Plant both hands on top of your knees. Inhale. Pull your knees in. Lift your chest forward. Exhale. Curl the upper spine. Tuck your chin to your chest. Look down at your belly. Inhale to a seated cow pose. Roll the shoulders away from your ears. Lift your chest up. Exhale, round the upper spine, chin to chest, look down at your belly, seated cow, or rather cat pose. One more, inhale, roll the shoulders back, lift your chest up. Exhale, curl the upper spine, chin to chest. Notice we didn't even leave your desk yet. So that means no excuse for you not to move your body in the day. So those are the 6 movements of the spine. We move on to some other parts that could use some blood flow, some movement, and those are your hips. So let's do some hip openers. Figure 4, making sure again that you're seated on the sit bones and not curling your spine. Place your left heel on top of the right knee. For some of us, this alone triggers so much stretch already in your outer hips. So what you could do as well is to rest your left forearm on top of your left knee and let the weight of your body settle on your knee. You might decide, okay, that's it. I really feel my outer hip starting to stretch and open already. Make sure that you're not clenching your jaw. Otherwise, the work that we did earlier will just be reversed. So just keep it there. And while you're here, add on a twist. Place your left forearm on the sole of your left foot. Dig it into your foot and then turn to the right. You could reach the right arm up. That way you can roll the right shoulder open, get the stretch in your inner chest. So it's multitasking. Hip opener, it's a twist, it's a chest opener. And then before you let go of the figure 4, a lot of times we neglect our feet as well. So if you're wearing your shoes, just take it off. Insert your fingers in between your toes. So it's like you're clasping hands, but instead you're clasping your toes. Move your toes around in circles. Go the opposite direction. And then hold your toes with your left hand, left toes, left hand. Pull it towards your face. So this direction, pull it. That gives you the entire length of your foot. Take your knuckles, dig it into the ball of your foot and scrape it down. You'll find sometimes that there are some ridges on the soles of your feet, some sticky parts, just scrape it out. If you have plantar fasciitis or any other foot you don't intend to use for eating anymore, you can take the back of a spoon, oil it up really well, and use that to scrape the sole of your foot. Release. We'll do the opposite side. So right heel on top. You're drinking your coffee, settle the weight of your forearm on top of your knee, and just stay here, hang out here. There's a lot happening already in your outer hip. Let's get on with the twist. Forearm outside of the sole of your foot, dig it in and twist. Turn, reach your left arm up towards the sky. You could be on a call in a meeting and they wouldn't even know that you're doing yoga already while you're in your meeting. Undo your twist. Insert your fingers in between your toes. Roll it. Go the opposite way. And then pull your toes back, leaving the entire sole of your feet open, and then just scrape down. And then release it. All right. Feet flat on the ground. Inhale, sweep both arms all the way up to the sky. Exhale, fold over your thighs. So you're folding forward, hands on your shins. My chair is quite low, so I'm able to reach for the floor. Slide your hands up to your knees. Lift your chest forward. Exhale, fold back down. If you've taken a yoga class and you did a lot of sun salutations or vinyasa, This is the version while you're on your chair. Inhale, reach both arms up. Exhale, fold forward, chest to thighs. Hands to your shins or on top of your knees. That's your halfway lift. Exhale, fold back down. Let's do that one more time, just because it feels good. Inhale, reach both arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Halfway lift. Inhale, hands on top of your knees or thighs or shins. Fold back down as you exhale. Inhale, roll up. Now, if you find the urge to get up, stand up, which you should, so stand up. There are also some other movements that will feel amazing here. Inhale, sweep both arms over your head. Exhale, left arm down, reach your right arm up. So that's a side stretch, but you're standing up. Inhale, arms up. Right hand down. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, twist to the left. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, twist to the right. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, open up your chest. Clasp your hands behind you. Reach your knuckles to the ground. Soft knees, soft hip hinges. Hold forward. If you're unable to clasp your hands while you're folding forward, hold on to a shirt, a towel, or a belt in between your hands, and you can use that to take your arms over your head. Keep your knees bent. You don't ever have to straighten your knees while folding forward when you're doing yoga, especially if your hamstrings are tight or your lower back feels compressed. Push through your feet. Inhale. Rise up. Hold your tailbone back. And again, fold forward. Plant your hands on top of your knees. Alternately, bend your knees side to side. If any of you are dealing with sciatica pain, this next move is for you. Both heels, you can't see it through my camera, but both heels are on the ground. Bend your left knee deeply. Straighten the right leg. So one knee is bent, one leg is lengthened. Then left hand can be on your thigh, knee, or your chair. Reach the right arm up towards the sky. Pull the right thigh bone back. Bend your left knee deeper. Keep reaching your right arm over your head. We'll switch side, right hand down on something. Bend your right knee. Straighten your left leg. Reach your left arm up towards the sky. Release your left hand down. Roll up. Give it a shake. Hold on to your hips one more time. Inhale, lift your chest up. Fold forward. Again, notice when I fold forward, I fold from my hip hinge so I don't blow up my back. And then knees are bent. Hands on top of my shins if I can't reach for the floor. Hold on to your elbows. Let go of the weight of your head and arms. We call this the ragdoll pose. And swing side to side. So if it's a really tough day, this is where you might want to take a break in, rock forward and back, and then just lower your fingertips on your mat. Now be very slow. Come up, one vertebra at a time. Lift your shoulders to the tips of your ears. Roll it back, slide it down the length of your spine. And then you're ready. Head on back to your desk. Hands on top of your knees or your thighs. And take a few more breaths. Center yourself. Go turn on one of the apps that Dr. Marcia recommended. Or even just take 5, even 3 full deep inhales and exhales. And hopefully those moves are, you'll be able to use any of those moves to help you throughout the day, navigate your stress, just get the body flowing or moving. And that's it. Do let me know if you have any questions. Iman, unfortunately, I don't have a YouTube channel, but I do have an Instagram account, and sometimes I, what do you call this? I put some of my yoga exercises there, which might be helpful. Yeah, Vivian, I know, right? We think we're all so mobile and supple until we get to all of these movements. Thank you, Nur and Marie. Yeah, let me see. I'll type on the chat box my Instagram account for the yoga.
Thank you all. Yes, a couple of questions. Can we see a recording later? Yes, there will be a recording that we will post after the first of the year, and we'll notify you when all the workshops that we are doing today and tomorrow will be recorded. I'm telling you, Nina, you had me at the jaw. The first thing, I said, okay, she's doing this just for me. I can feel it. So thank you all. Were there any other questions? We had a question, how can I join your yoga class?
You could go ahead to Moxie Yoga SF, and I teach my Zoom classes with them. Yes.
So I'll put that into the chat, moxieyoga.com.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And it's a local business, so it would be great if we can support the local studios to keep them from shutting down after and reopening for us when the pandemic is done.
So and answer one more question, where will the recordings be posted? They'll be at the Golden Gate University, the ggU.edu YouTube site, but we'll send you a notification when they're all edited and prepped and ready to go after the first of the year. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, Nina. So we have 2 more workshops. Again, one this afternoon at 4 o'clock, which is the meditation improv stress relief through imaginative play. And then again, tomorrow, envision the future. So by the time you get to envisioning your future tomorrow, between all 3 of these workshops today, you'll be relaxed and ready for 2021. So do join us, and thank you all again, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Sue-Ann and Nina.
Thank you, Nina.
Thanks, everyone.